So welcome to our Women's Philanthropy Board Roundtable. Let's get social. And we are social distancing, but we are being social together. So that is great. And I would like to thank you for attending this program. For those of you who are not familiar with the Women's Philanthropy Board, I'd like to share that we are an educational outreach program in Auburn University's College of Human Sciences, and we serve as the flagship division for the Carey Center for the Advancement of Philanthropy and Nonprofit Studies, which is an academic center in the College of Human Sciences. We also have programs within our center that provide educational programs for youth, like Camp I Care. And for our nonprofit community partners, we have a program called the Nonprofit Affiliate Program. This is our 11th virtual roundtable. And if you had asked us at the beginning of the year if we thought we would be having these types of programs, of course, we, like everyone, would have said, no way. But we're thrilled to have been able to offer all of these and for you to join us. And we've got some more great programs that are coming up. Mary Elizabeth Fukai, who is our Assistant Director of WPB, will share those with you after the session today. Please make sure you're following us on Facebook so that you can keep up with what we're doing. And if you would like to be on our email list, you can let us know that as well. And you'll get an email announcement whenever we're having an event. And if you've missed any of these programs, we have uploaded several to our YouTube page. So you can always go to YouTube and search up Women's Philanthropy Board Auburn University and get caught up. For our session today, if you don't mind, if you're not on mute yet, if you could go ahead and mute so we don't hear your background noise. And if you have any questions, please feel free to post those in the chat feature. And at the end, we'll get Mary Elizabeth to read those out for us. And I guess let's get going. So I have the pleasure of introducing our speaker today, Malia Haynes. I have known Malia for, I was trying to think, at least 20 years, and maybe sliding closer to 25 years. And I don't get to see her very much anymore. But I'm thrilled for her to be with us today, and I'm honored to call her my friend. Malia is a 1995 graduate of Auburn University, and she is the social media manager for Alabama Mountain Lakes Tourist Association, which maybe she'll tell us about in a little bit. She's been with them for 10 years now, and before that she taught middle school English, and she coached cheerleading for middle schoolers. I bet that was not fun. And she's also taught English at Calhoun Community College for 8.5 years prior to that. She's also worked in public relations for an advertising agency in Atlanta. And she worked for the minor league baseball team in Columbus. Some of y'all might remember the Columbus Red Sticks. And she also, how I met her, was working in the Auburn University Development Office. In addition, she is a devoted aunt to her niece, Carly. She's a gifted writer, and she's one of the most generous people that I've ever known. So please make sure you are following her work on social media at Visit North Alabama, and you'll get to see a lot of her adventures and her and Carly's adventures on that social media post. So thank you, Malia, for being with us today and for sharing and being generous with your time and your talents. And I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, first of all, I had this plan, like I got 2 words for y'all, and it's War Eagle. And Kim and I began talking about this, about coming down, and of course I was so excited to, come down and do this, and then the world just caught on fire, and so here we are virtually. I'd much rather be with y'all and be shaking hands and seeing your faces in person, but this is the world we live in right now, so we'll just make do. But Thank you, Kim, for the sweet words. Yeah, I worked for Dara. I don't know if Dara has logged on here yet. I worked for Sid James as a student. I think I saw her log on a few minutes ago.
Yeah, Aaliyah, Sid.
Hey,
Great to see you. I think you were
too.
8 years old when I hired you in your first development job in 1994. It's great to see you, honey. Thank you for doing.
Yeah, thank you. But anyway, I work for Alabama Mountain Lakes Tourist Association. It's quite the mouthful there to say. And we promote tourism to the 16 North Alabama counties. And so we're out and about promoting, you know, our attractions, our restaurants. We're a member organization. And so I do all of our social media, which I'm not going to lie, it's a pretty fun job most days. I'd say about 85% of the time it's a fun job. There's always that percentage that's not so fun. And so I get to go sometimes and do this presentation for our members. So that's what I was going to present to y'all today. So I guess I know y'all's time is precious, so we'll just jump right in here. I've got let's see, the share screen. I got to make sure I do this correctly. Oh, it's not popping up like it did earlier, Kim. Let me see. Hang on. Is that it? Do y'all see my, okay, we're good to go? Okay. Yay, I did it. See, this is why we had that practice run this morning. But like I said, I do this social media 101 presentation, and a lot of times when I do it, the people who approach me, and not that Kim said this, but I always start off with this because it never fails that someone says, you know, hey, I need you to come do this presentation. And I'm just going to tell you, there's going to be people in the crowd who think that you don't even need social media. And so I always start with, you know, the why we need it. And I think now this year we really see, you know, in 2020 how beneficial it is. I know I've got a few friends who own small businesses here in Decatur, and the ones who have done really well had a very strong social media presence before, during, and, you know, hopefully after. And then the people, you know, those businesses that haven't done so well didn't see the need before all of this to really get on social media. And so it's kind of been one of those things, like, you know, sometimes we curse social media, but it's not going away. That's what I tell people. It's not going away. So we got to figure out how to deal with it. So let me just show y'all this video. Okay. So some of those statistics in there, especially the ones that more people own a mobile phone than a toothbrush. I mean, that just grosses me out. But some of those statistics of, especially the one that Facebook is the largest population over every country that we have, that there's more people on Facebook than there are in any other country. That one always gets me too, that, it's very prevalent, and like I said, it's not going away. So I always start off with the, why even care? And this does kind of help put things in perspective, even though, I mean, I'm sure because you're here that you do care about social media, and you're here because you want to learn. But for the first time, we've got technology that allows us to maintain rich connections with large numbers of people. I mean, you think about, just like with Kim and Dara and Sid and I would have no idea, aside from social media, what they were doing in their lives if it wasn't for this, because, we live in different towns and life is busy. So you can think about those relationships that you have with people that you wouldn't otherwise. It's integrated in our daily lives. People spend about 3 hours on social networks. There's a little feature on your phone, if you have an iPhone, that tells you how much time you've spent on your phone, and and sometimes that freaks me out, because I think, oh my gosh, have I really been on Instagram this long? But it tracks it. And so you can just see, just looking at your own consumption of social media, how much you're on it. That 88% of the 18 to 29-year-olds use social media. So, those younger generations, they're on it way more. I mean, you see your kids on it and you think, gosh, you're always on that phone. And it's just, like I said, it keeps growing. Number 3, because visiting social media networking sites is the #1 online activity ahead of email. And you think about, how many times have you sent a message on Messenger because you think, I'll probably get a faster response if I do this rather than email. And a lot of times that's true. The average American spends more than 3 hours on social networks and 50 minutes on Facebook. Now, this is just the average. So if these numbers are high for the average, think about how high the high is to get to that average. Social media is a conversation. It engages people, smashing generational, educational, and socio-political boundaries. In real life, we, tend to gravitate toward people who are like us. But, if you look at your social media friends and followers and people you follow, a lot of times you have people that, are very different from you. So it does bring people together who are different, and that can be a good thing. Digital natives, the youngest people have spent their entire lives on social, on technology. You think about, gosh, my 2-year-old can pick up a phone and he knows how to swipe, and he knows how to get on this and do that. And it's because they've never not known this. They've never not known how to do this. So they're, of course they're going to pick it up because they're mimic what we do. And it's just the world that they've been born into. And that statistic, about 80% of the children between ages 0 and 5 who use the internet will do so on at least a weekly basis. And that blows my mind as well. But I mean, if you think about it, you think about little kids and their tablets, and so it's happening. And I won't read every single bit of this, but it just talks about, the social impact of, how many online adults use social media. Kind of some, demographics of people that they tend to have more closer ties. People on social media feel a little less socially isolated. People are a little more trusting. They get more support from their social ties and Facebook user, their friends. And this one always makes me chuckle, that Facebook users are much more politically engaged than most people. And I don't know, sometimes maybe that's a bad thing. But we can all agree that yes, people are very politically engaged on social media. Sometimes we hide those people. But Facebook revives dormant relationships, not just friends, but I've even got family that live not in the same town, and I am able to keep up with them as well. And then you can see like YouTube is like 73% of people use YouTube. Facebook is right under that. You've got Instagram, Pinterest, Snapchat, which I'm just going to tell y'all, I don't do Snapchat. I don't know. I guess when it first came out, I kept waiting for it to go away. Of course, it's not going away. But most of my focus on here is going to be on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the big three. Well, and YouTube is a big one as well. But you can see, I mean, just how many people use Facebook on a daily basis. And then these statistics here, there's 7.6 billion people. This is at the beginning of last year. 5.1 billion people, are on their mobile phones. 4.3 billion are internet users. 3.4, almost 3.5 are active social media users. 3.2, are using social media on their mobile devices. So you can see, like, it's almost like half, and in some cases more than half of our population, is on their digital. Of course, you've got Facebook, several times a day, 51% of adults, 49% on Snapchat, 38% on Instagram. So and that's several times, at least once a day, it's 23%, 14 and 22. So we are on these platforms on a constant basis. Okay, so I've said all that, and I feel like I said it really, really fast to get to kind of the meat here. So we know, we have no choice, and that was one of the things that the video says is that, are we going to adapt? And I have people, some of our members even had a conversation a couple of weeks ago with someone with one of our attractions, I'm not saying any names, and, they were just cursing social media, and I just don't know, and I was like, then I really don't know how to help you, because you've got to embrace the fact that you just are going to have to do it. So once we've got all this, so then what is your goal for using social media? Sit down, is it a nonprofit that you are doing social media for? Do you have a business? Do you have a restaurant? What do you want to achieve? What is your goal? Sit down, write those down. Are you wanting sales? Are you wanting people to click through to your website? Are you wanting people to donate money? Are you wanting people to come into your business? What is your goal? What are those goals? And then decide what social networks are appropriate, because I'll be the first one to tell you there's some pressure, sometimes with businesses and organizations that you have to be on everything. And I'm here to tell you, you don't. You don't. If you can't do the top social media platforms, if you can't do all of them well, then pick one that you can do well. And then maybe after you've mastered that, add one in. But choose something, one that that you can give your time and your energy to, and choose it and do it well. And it depends on your audience. So if you're, you've got a nonprofit and maybe you're focusing on donors, the younger crowd, doesn't have a lot of money right now. So you want that older crowd, and they're going to be on Facebook. If you run a boutique business, in downtown Auburn, and so your demographic's probably going to be 18 to 24-year-olds. So, Snapchat, Instagram, those are going to be the places where those people hang out. So find out, who's your audience, what's your goal, who's your audience, where are they hanging out, and then that's where you go. And then create a strategy. For Alabama Mountain Lakes, what I do is, and I always have a content calendar, which I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but I just print out a calendar each month, and I just sit down and I plan it out each month. And I've got, on Monday, this helps me, my strategy, I've got Contest Monday. We always give away a t-shirt or something where we ask a question and get some engagement. Tuesday is my Travel Tuesday, and I focus on, an event, which all of them have been canceled, or an attraction, something that, people can travel to see in our area. Wednesday, it's all about waterfalls, and we've got lots of waterfalls. Thursday, we have an ambassador program, so I always focus on a place that they've been, some of their pictures, And then Friday is Free Things to Do Friday. So I'll post about an attraction, an event, someplace in our area that's free to do. Because, I mean, who doesn't like free stuff? So that's my focus. And I'm telling you, when I created that, it made my life so much easier. And then sitting down with a calendar and planning it out. And it just, because in the beginning I was coming in, I'm thinking, what am I going to post today? And it was so stressful. And it, sometimes I wouldn't even get anything posted because I'd be stressing out over what I'm going to post and where am I going to get this information. And so it really does help to plan it out and to make a calendar. And then I tell people, just do it, just get started. That it doesn't have to be, sometimes we make things way too hard, and it really doesn't have to be super hard. Okay. And so some of my tips here are, one of the main things that I want you to take away from this is that use engaging photos, good pictures, especially on Instagram, but even on Facebook too. I mean, good pictures are appreciated there as well. But photos get way, and I know that's an old statistic, but I guarantee you it's probably even more than that now, but photos are going to get way more attention, good photos, than a link, because Facebook doesn't like for you to click off of Facebook. So they don't, they've got an algorithm. And so if you're posting a link, that they know you're going to have to leave Facebook, they're not going to put it in people's feeds as much as a good photo. So they want you to stay there on Facebook. But use good photos that people want to like, comment, and share on. And think about, what kind of images do you like to see? Would you click on that picture? Would you like that picture? Would you comment, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful? Would you share that picture? So think about, the things that you like when you're sharing things as well. And then here's some photos that I've used on our social media. This is a bridge in Gadsden, the Coosa River. And just that reflection. This was the Alabama Jubilee. I mean, the balloons. I didn't take that picture. But it's so pretty that you've got all those balloons there. A waterfall. I'm telling you, waterfalls and sunset pictures are pure gold on our social media. People love them. But this is a Waterfall Wednesday post. And then another tip is to share an experience rather than always trying to sell your product or your service. Because people will get tired of always, like sell. And sometimes people might, unless they really like what you're always selling. There's a couple boutiques that I follow, and I do like what they're selling, so I don't click off of them. But you want to share, an experience rather than just always trying to sell. And so this, all I said was, we're halfway to the weekend. Of course, it's kind of a backdoor way to selling that you've got this beautiful picture of Nakalula Falls in Gadsden, and it kind of plants that little seed, like, oh, we're halfway to the weekend, Nakalula Falls. Hey, maybe we should go see that this weekend. But you didn't really have to tell them. You just shared, the sunset, the picture, some kind of tip. One of my friends owns a home decor business, and the other day she sells a lot of candles. And the other day she just posted a picture of one of her candles that had come in. But instead of like really trying to sell that candle, she posted some tips on how to make your candles last longer. And so again, that's kind of that backdoor approach to selling, because people are thinking, oh, hey, I got to cut down my wick. I got to do this. I got to do that. And you know what? Maybe I need to go get that candle, even though the post was more about the tips on how to make your candle last rather than just selling. So I love that idea. Ask a question to encourage engagement. People love to share their opinions, sometimes a little too much so. But people share some good opinions sometimes. This was for our waterfall brochure. And we had a photographer that went out, and he took so many amazing pictures of, the same location. And this is all of Little River Falls here at, sorry, I don't know if y'all heard that motorcycle in my neighborhood, but it's very annoying. But he had so many pictures of, the same waterfall in different seasons, different angles. And so we did, as part of our contest Monday, we asked people to pick which picture they liked. And so I put together some collages. And the really cool thing is I just asked them to tell me which one, just tell me 1, 2, 3, or 4. And not only did they tell me which one, but they told me why they liked it, which I thought was so cool that they gave me the one and the why. And so that could be, a good thing to do, is to ask, which picture do you like and why? Why would you put this one in the brochure? And then we just chose someone randomly from the comments to win. But that helps on, getting your engagement up, people seeing your posts. And then, of course, people want to share that, because then they're like, hey, you need to vote on this so you can win, this T-shirt or whatever it is that we were giving away that time. And of course, have a contest. Well, I was just talking about, we had some Yetis that we had for some giveaways, and this does help, to get people to comment and to get, because like I mentioned, they're out, the Facebook's algorithm, the more people are commenting and liking your content, the more you're going to show up in people's news feeds. And not just random things, not just, like, hey, like this post, but like, tell us, like, what's your favorite barbecue restaurant? What's your favorite this? What's your favorite, people love to tell that kind of stuff. You could give away a prize, offer a discount. You have people share photos, stories, feedback. And sometimes, like, when I'm writing blog posts, I kind of cheat when I, like, best indoor places to go on a rainy day. So I might ask, I might be thinking ahead of time, and that might be our contest, like, what are the best places to go on a rainy day in North Alabama? And so then I kind of get them to do my research for me. So that might be a good thing too, if you're trying to find out from people some information, get them to answer those questions and comment. Like I said, people love to share their opinions. Another way, this is kind of going along with growing your pages, because we know, if you've got a business page, sometimes it's so hard to get, people to like your page. And one of the easiest ways is to just invite all your friends to like your page. And this is an example, if you're on mobile, there's on, like, under your friends, you can send invites, you can just click all those people, and that helps to build your page. Doing that. And then on desktop, when you go to your main page, those 3 little dots, and then it pulls down where you can invite friends, and then you just click everybody and invite them. And that helps to grow your page there. Okay. This used to really, really, really bother me, that, even though Facebook is free, that you still, as businesses, you are, pages, business pages, that you had to basically kind of, they wanted you to boost ad or create ads or boost posts. And it used to just drive me crazy that, here it is. Oh, it's a free platform. But if you want to be seen, then you need to put some money behind it. But I've calmed down a lot on that because I've realized over time that it's actually a very, very inexpensive way to advertise. I'm not knocking ads on radio or television or newspaper, but compared to those ads, advertising on Facebook is very inexpensive. You could put as little as $5 behind a post, to boost it or to create an ad and see some results, $10, $20. So it is, and you can target your audience. That is what is so cool. You can target your audience. So like I said, if you're a boutique in downtown Auburn, your demographic is 18 to 24-year-old girls. You can select women as your gender. You can select your age group. You can select your town, the city that you want to promote in. So that is really good. So then that group, that demographic is going to see your post. You can set the duration of your ad, so that's good. And it's even really good too if you've got this ad going and you're thinking, this is not even working. You can hit pause on it and stop spending any more money. And so that's a good thing too, that you've got more control here when you're advertising on Facebook and Instagram than you would in other ways. And of course, like we said, everybody's on Facebook. only the people who are listening to that radio station is going to hear the ad on the radio, or picking up the paper is going to see that ad in the paper. But this group, people are going to be on social media. So realizing all these things has helped me calm down about the fact that we had to put money behind ads and posts and things. But here's an example of where you can, create your audience, and you can create and save your audience. So that way you don't always have to keep going in and redoing it, that you can, just click on, like we have a craft beer trail and a wine trail. So I could click on that audience and it automatically goes to, that group of people. And then the Facebook Insights. This is really cool too, because you can go to your insights on your Facebook page, and Instagram has one, and Twitter's got some analytics as well, Pinterest. But you can go on there and you can see what's working and what's not working. So you can, at the end of a week, you can go in and you can say, oh gosh, those first 3 posts, I didn't, the first 2, I didn't put anything behind it and it didn't do anything. But then I did put a little money behind those other 2 posts, and look at the engagement that I got, the reach that I got. So it helps you to evaluate what's working, what's not working. And so again, it gives you more control, which we, when we're spending money, we like to have control over the money that we're spending, right? Especially when money is really tight and you've got like a really small budget. This is very helpful to see what works and what doesn't work. Okay. Oh, sorry.
No, we just had a question come in on the chat. So just real quick, does Central Alabama have an organization for our area like the one that you work with in North Alabama?
No. And we get other counties asking all the time, like, hey, can we join? And we're like, well, we're just the North Alabama. And we're the only one. I'm trying to think if we're the only one in. No, I know we're not the only one in the Southeast. I know we're the only organization of our type in Alabama. So we've got, you've got like the State Department of Tourism that covers the whole state, including us, but we're the only one here.
Thank you. Sorry.
You're welcome. Okay. Any other questions while I'm stopping? I feel like I talk really, really, really fast. And then I've got my email I can put up too. So if there's something that I've blown past way too fast, you can email me and I can answer that. But hashtags, especially on Instagram, hashtags really aren't, they're not as crucial to put on Facebook. I think Facebook maybe is trying to get there, because I notice sometimes when I'll post something for work that, hey, add a hashtag on there. And I've noticed that popping up, which I'll do, like our hashtag, which is Visit North AL. I put that on there, anyway. But on Instagram and Twitter, they're really, it builds a community and it adds your voice to an existing community. It helps you get new followers. And I will say using hashtags has helped me grow our audience on Instagram, because believe it or not, people actually click on hashtags to find people that they want to follow. So, like we use our hashtag Visit North AL. This is Alabama. Y'all probably follow that social media. Sweet Home Alabama. Things like downtown, shop local, festival, sunset, waterfall, outdoors. Now, some of those last ones are really broad, and so they're going to have tons and tons of pictures in them. So you kind of have to be adding to hashtags that are really broad. But it adds you to that community. It adds you to that voice. It gets you in the mix there. And then tag accounts that are relevant to your business. So if there's if it's relevant to tag the chamber, or if it's relevant to tag, the tourism agency in your town, the university. A lot of times I tag, Sweet Home Alabama, which is the state tourism. I tag them. I tag This is Alabama. So it kind of adds us to their, where people can see us if they click on their profile where people have tagged them. So that helps also to grow. And then on Twitter, you know, you see if you're on there, I don't like Twitter. I'm just going to be honest. I use Twitter for work. It makes my boss happy to do it, so I do it because I want to make her happy. But I don't like Twitter. But you can see when you go on there, there's a little section where it says, you know, trending on Twitter, and it's hashtags. It's, you know, those things that people are using. But anyway, Twitter may work for whatever it is. You know, Twitter's good for like news and sports. My personal theory is I think Twitter's still around because I think our president keeps Twitter alive. I think people go to Twitter. I think Twitter really should be, you know, they're indebted to our president right now for keeping them going, because everybody I talk to in my social media circles, they're like, oh, Twitter. We just post on there because we have to. I'm like, yes, I know. But anyway, it's, for some businesses, you know, it works, and it's a good place to be. Okay, some of these things with Facebook, we've already talked about. It's the most popular social media platform, 1.55 billion daily active Facebook users, which just blows my mind. It's the #1 mobile app. Travel is the most shared topic category on Facebook. You've got Facebook Live. I will tell you, for Facebook Live, make sure you've got a good reason to do Facebook Live, or people will turn that off, because it'll pop up, you know, so-and-so's gone live, and you can turn that off. Like, yeah, I don't want to see Joe down the street going live shooting off fireworks, you know, so you can turn that off whenever he goes live again. So make sure, you know, that you've got a good reason to go live on Facebook if you're at an event, you know, something like that. Facebook stories, if you've got your Instagram and Facebook linked together, if you post a story on Instagram, you can send it right on to Facebook. I think stories are probably more popular on Instagram than they are Facebook. I know I look at stories more on Instagram than I do on Facebook, but that's just me. Of course, we talked about ads, using engaging photos, asking questions to your followers, getting that engagement going. And then this is a list of questions. Facebook also has a lot of tutorials that you can, if you need help, that they've got all kinds of things, little, you know, kind of like little mini classes that you can sort of take on Facebook. And so this was a list of questions that I thought was really good. Is this timely and relevant content? Is this content from a source you would trust? So make sure if you're sharing links that it's not, you know, it's not fake news. It's not one of those places that's not real. Would you share it with your friends or recommend it to others? So, you know, think about, would you share it? If you share it, you know, if you want other people to share it, would you be willing to share it? Is the content genuinely interesting to you, or is it trying to game newsfeed distribution? So just saying like, hey, like this post, you know, but if you're saying, hey, give me a comment, you know, comment as to where your favorite place to shop is, or your favorite thing to do on the weekend. You know, those are better questions to ask than just, hey, just like and share this. Would you call this a low quality meme or post? And then would you complain about seeing this content in your news feed? So those are some good questions to ask when you're thinking about, what am I going to post on Facebook? And then here's some photos. Again, sunsets. People go crazy over sunsets and waterfalls. This was at UG White in Huntsville. It's not there anymore. There's one in Athens, but they just had these baskets and baskets full of candy. This is at 1818 Farms in Mooresville. I went there one day, and this little sheep just came up and just stuck his cute little nose through the fence. And then if you have a blog feature on your website, you know, share your blog post on your Facebook page. We used to do a 99 Things to Do this summer in North Alabama. It looked a little bit different this year, but it always got a lot of traction, you know, a lot of shares, a lot of comments. Okay, Instagram, more than 1 billion active users are on it, 78 million in the US, 60 million photos are shared daily. I mean, that blows my mind too, that 60 million photos are shared. Users go to Instagram to be entertained, not really sold to. So, you know, if you are trying to sell things on there, make sure your pictures are, you know, of your product are pretty. You know, like if you've got a boutique, you know, make sure that it looks like, it doesn't look like you're just trying to sell, that you're, you know, that it's a really well done picture. Use good engaging photos, because people will unfollow you on Instagram. They've got a standard on Instagram, and so they expect, you know, good engaging photos. Use good short captions. Sometimes I'm not always good at that, because I mean, sometimes you just got a lot to say, right? So I don't always practice what I preach on the short captions. Instagram stories are really good. I didn't really put a lot of stock into them at first, because I thought, gosh, they just disappear. But you can save them and create highlights on Instagram. But I started noticing how many people, because it'll show you, if you've got a business account on Instagram, it'll show you how many people have viewed your story. And I was blown away. I mean, it sold me right then. I thought, wow, I think, you know, more people might be seeing this than they are an actual post. So that got me on board with stories. And then of course, hashtags. Use hashtags on Instagram. It can, you know, build your audience, add your voice to that group. Here's some pictures that we've posted on Instagram. Again, sunsets. There's some events that we've posted, waterfalls, and another sunset. And there's another little cute sheep from 1818 Farms. They just have a lot of good subjects to take pictures of out there. Okay. User-generated content, and this is something that's kind of become popular over the last couple of years, and it's kind of related to influencers. Y'all probably heard of influencers, but the benefits of using user-generated content, which is just using what someone else, you know, like maybe one of your, you know, somebody who shopped at your business and they posted a picture, or restaurant, that's a good example. You know, someone's visited the restaurant and they've taken a picture of their meal and they've posted it. You know, if you're that restaurant, like you're Big Bob Gibson, somebody's taking a picture of your wings, you know, share that picture, give them credit for it. People love to see their, you know, their name. It's just so exciting when that happens. But it puts your customers front and center, and then they become your marketers for you. And then if you're, you know, sharing their content, then they're going to share more content for you, and tag you in it. And so it's really good, because you're letting them tell your story, and word of mouth is so big. Because of course, you know, if you're Big Bob Gibson barbecue, of course you're going to say, hey, we've got the best barbecue, which they really do have the best barbecue. You know, of course you're going to say that. That's your business. But if you've got, you know, John over here that says this is the, you know, these are the best wings I've ever had, or the best potato I've ever had, then it's someone else who's tooting your horn for you. And it gives you more credibility when you've got other people who are out there saying, oh my gosh, y'all got to go eat here. And so when they're posting and they're sharing, you know, you can use their content. And like I said, it lets them tell your story for you and gives you more credibility. And then it gives, you know, you get the chance to spotlight the people who help shape your brand. And again, people just love it when you share their stuff. It provides social proof. So it serves as, you know, when people see real customers sharing what you're doing, then, you know, again, it gives you more credibility there, because it's not just you saying, hey, shop here, hey, eat here, hey, donate to this, you know, do this, do that. It's someone else saying it for you, and again, more credibility. Again, we talked about that. It gives, you know, it's more trustworthy, because you think about, people get on Facebook all the time. I'm going to, you know, this just San Francisco for the first time. What are the restaurants I need to eat at? And then you see people list like, oh, you've got to eat here. You've got to eat here. And so then, you know, we look to our friends and our family to tell us, you know, like, where do I need to go? Where do I need to go for this? Where do I need to eat? What do I need to visit when I go to this town? So we know that, you know, word of mouth is king. But again, more trust, more credibility, that more people are, you know, going to be swayed to eat there or visit there if someone else has told them to do it, that they trust, by the way. Someone they trust. Facebook ads, we've kind of talked about this, so I won't go over all this, that it's, you know, Facebook events, some tips about that. If you create an event, you know, add a cool picture that represents your event. Make sure that you're providing every single bit of information that you can possibly think that people are going to ask, questions they're going to ask, things they're going to want to know. Put all of that information in there. Prior to the event, you know, post pictures and videos from the previous year. Of course, if it's your first year of doing the event, maybe share reasons why you should come to this event or what's going to be there. Share a top 10 list of reasons to attend, spotlight maybe vendors, artists, performers, things like that. Do a countdown to the event. Update the event regularly, because I mean, how many times have you been to an event, you've asked a question on the page and it's just crickets and you're thinking, okay, I really wanted this question answered. Or you go to a Facebook page and you see they haven't updated it since 2018 and you think, yeah, does anybody even go into this page? Is anybody even caring about this? So make sure that you're updating on a regular basis, that you have up-to-date information. And then, of course, closer to the event, you know, make sure that you're monitoring because people are having questions. Even though you've probably got that information in there, you know how people are on social media. They're still going to ask the questions and they still want you to answer those questions. So closer to the event, you know, make sure that you're monitoring, that you're answering questions, and even maybe during the event if people have questions about things. Thank everyone for attending the event. Encourage them to stay tuned for next year's event. All right, some best social media practices, and this is kind of wrapping things up here. And we've kind of gone over some of this, but just, you know, set measurable goals. Like what are, you know, like we talked about at the very beginning, what are your goals? What do you want to do for your business, your organization, your agency? What is it you want to do? And then establish objectives that's going to help you measure that. So do you want people to view, you know, go to your website? Well, then you can look at website analytics. You know, I want 100 people to visit my website in a week or whatever. I want, you know, 20 people to come in on a Tuesday and shop, or, you know, something that you can measure. You know, your if you're trying to build your fan base, you know, how many likes did you get during the week? How much engagement did your pictures get? Did you get any sales because of, you know, what you posted? So think about, you know, what is it that you want to do? Create some, you know, objectives. How are you going to accomplish those? What's it going to look like? How are you going to measure it? So some of the objectives, you know, build brand awareness, get the public to know your name, you know, positive perception, gain new customers, drive traffic to your social media page or website, strengthen customer service, so engaging with customers, answering questions, helping existing customers with your product or services. You know, so I keep going back to the boutique because I keep thinking about my friends that own a boutique. But, you know, if somebody says, you know, like, oh my gosh, I love that sweater. Like, hey, do you want me to hold that for you? I can hold whatever size, you know, and then they might think, oh yeah. You know, they might not have even been thinking that, but then that could kind of create that sale of, oh yeah, well, they're holding that in a small for me, so I better go get it. Strengthen customer, we already talked about that. Increase engagement, you know, interacting with your fans, followers, giving them reasons to mention your brand. So those are some of the objectives, because it's not all just about how many likes you have on your page or, you know, your Facebook page, or how many followers you have on Instagram, because if you've got 10,000 followers or page likes, but only 10 people are engaging, all those other followers, it's like trying to get more of those people in the mix of seeing what you're posting and engaging with what you're posting. So it's not all about the likes, but it is good to get more followers, because it does, again, that algorithm, it puts you more in the news feed the more you have. And then of course, choosing the right social media networks. If you think, I really don't think that Twitter is good for me, then don't worry about it, or if you've got an older crowd, and you're thinking, okay, they're older, they're probably not going to be on Snapchat, then don't worry about it. But if you think Facebook is always, I tell people, if you can only do one thing really well, Facebook is always a safe bet to make sure that you have a presence on. But again, just look at who's your target customer, who's your audience, and then find out, what social media platform they're on, and then that's where you need to go. Facebook, some tips about posting: post at least once a day, always include a photo, a graphic, a call to action. What do you want them to do? Post with images generate more interaction than just a status update. People love pictures. Encourage engagement by asking a question. Hashtags, again, not really a driving force on Facebook, but you can use, one, like maybe your businesses, if you've developed a hashtag, use that one. Best time to post, 1 to 4 p.m. But I'll tell you too, also on Facebook, on the insights, you can go on there and you can see who your demographic is, who your, is it like for us, it's women who are 35 to 44, and our peak time is 8 p.m. And, I thought, okay, all right, that's interesting. And then I had a foster daughter for a little while, and I realized then I understood my audience when I would go sit on the couch after I'd get her to bed, and it'd be around 8 o'clock or whatever, and I'd sit there and I would just mindlessly scroll through Facebook because I was so tired, that's all I could do. And I thought, this is what our target audience is doing. They've got the kids put to bed, they're exhausted, and this is like all they can do right now is just muster the strength to just get on social media and just scroll. So you can go to your insights, and it will tell you on Facebook like who your demographic is, how old they are, gender, what time they're on, the peak time. So that's good too. So that helps you with knowing when to post. And by the way, you can schedule posts on Facebook too. So that helps that you don't have to sit there at 8 o'clock at night and post. You can schedule it and forget about it. Twitter, and this is probably why, I'm not that successful on Twitter, because, to be successful, it's tweeting constantly throughout the day. And I don't do that. I don't have time to do that. But still, pictures are good, links are good. This is best time there is 1 to 3, Monday through Thursday. I don't know. When I do post, I tend to post in the morning, and I have noticed like 10 o'clock for some reason is good for us. But anyway, these are some things for Twitter. And of course, hashtags are good because things can trend on Twitter. Pinterest or Instagram, they're both, heavy on really good photos, really good graphics. Post at least one a day. You can showcase a product, give followers a sneak peek into what goes on in your company's office culture. You can track the type of response your social media posting gains, so you can figure out what content and schedule gets the best engagement. So on Instagram, you can look, and it tells you too, like what days are popular for posting. And then I don't know if it tells you does it tell you what? I can't remember I don't think it tells you what time. I think I'm thinking about Facebook, but it does tell you what days are good. Okay, brand your social media profile pages. So make sure that your identity is consistent all the way across. So if you've got a logo, make sure if somebody's going to your Facebook, your Instagram, your Pinterest, your Twitter, that when they go to all all of those, Snapchat, they go to all of those, that they feel like this is the same business. Make sure that your tagline, is, your description is pretty similar all the way across. So again, they're like, okay, this is the same business that I'm, same organization. Graphics and photos, other visuals that will resonate strongly with your consumers. And just make sure that you've got just consistency all the way across. Tone and voice, what's the personality of your brand? What kind of words do you want to use to communicate? And this depends on your crowd. So if you're, again, if you're trying to encourage people to donate large sums of money, you probably don't want to be, all cutesy poo, you want to be serious and make yourself sound trustworthy because you're wanting them to donate. If, again, your crowd is 18 to 24-year-old, young ladies, use language that would appeal to them. And so you might be able to use, a little bit more slang, whereas you wouldn't be able to use some slang terms, if you're trying to encourage donors to donate. So it just depends on who's your audience. Again, who is your audience and where are they? All right, content quality over quantity, that more is not always better. Just like on your website and blog, you want to generate quality social media content that's valuable. So, good content, it has a good mix of promotional, thought leadership, engagement with followers. So again, you don't always want to be sell. Do some tips. Maybe if you are, trying to get people to donate, you've got an organization, agency like that, maybe you want to post some articles about philanthropy or ways to give, or maybe how to manage your money when you're trying to give, but also trying to, create this budget here. And then of course, if you've got a boutique, maybe some styling tips like, hey, here's this summer cardigan, and here's how we're going to make it transition into fall, just some tips. And then it gets them thinking like, oh, maybe I need to go get that cardigan though. So again, it's kind of that backdoor way of selling there. And then of course, engaging with your followers. If they're commenting, if they're asking questions, make sure that you're, right there answering their questions and commenting and just letting them know that you see them. And like when people comment or they like something that you've shared or whatever, it just, like every time if I comment on like Auburn men's basketball or Auburn women's basketball or football, if I comment something on there and they like it, they like my comment, it's like, oh, they liked what I said. And so people like that when you do that. So make sure that you're engaging with your followers, because they're doing the same thing. Like, oh, they liked what I said. They liked my comment. We like to feel seen and validated there. And then again, this talks about creating an editorial calendar to organize, schedule. I'm telling you, this, like, it may take you a couple of hours to sit down and do it, but it will save you a ton of time throughout the month. And of course, this talks about doing 3 months. I would say if you can I can manage a month. I don't know about 3 months for me, but I can manage a month, and that works for me. So, just as long as you're planning that out, that it really does help. Monitor your social media analytics. Again, the individual platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, they've all got their own analytics. Of course, you've got Google Analytics. Hootsuite and Buffer also have some tools. I'm pretty sure Google Analytics is free. Hootsuite and Buffer, you might have to pay for. I'm not sure. I know they've got some free services. I use Hootsuite sometimes to schedule things on Twitter and Instagram. But look at your analytics. Look at, weekly, like, oh, man, that really bombed. That didn't work. Nobody cared about that. Or you might see a photo or a post and you think, oh my gosh, everybody loved this. This was a hit. I need to do more of this. So make sure you're monitoring, and it's, and that's the thing about social media too, is that you can change. You can change daily. You know, you may have this plan and you think this ain't working. And so you can change it and redirect. So it's always, I guess, kind of a little bit fluid there, that, you know, you've got more control on how things are, you know, how you're promoting things, and you get feedback pretty quickly. Check out competitors. Look and see, like with us, I like to look at Explore Georgia. And when they send, I'm on their mailing list, and I get their emails. It has their blog posts and everything. And I look on them, and I think, you know, they're far enough away from us that it's not like I'm copying somebody who's, you know, next door or whatever. But I can look, and not that I copy, but I get ideas like, oh, they had like best places to kayak. You know what? I could create a blog post about best places to kayak in North Alabama. So look at what competitors are doing. If you've got a business, see how, you know, see what's working for them, and you don't have to necessarily copy, but how can you make it yours? Because you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You know, if the wheel's working, like how can you adapt the wheel to fit what you're doing? And then just also influencers. You know, if you have a restaurant or a boutique or, you know, something like that, we've got an ambassador program. But if you've got, you know, maybe I keep going back to the boutique or whatever, but, you know, maybe you could have an application process to apply to be influencers. And, you know, you get some cute girls from campus that have really big followings, and like, hey, we'll give you, you know, 50% off or whatever if you'll buy these clothes, you'll post about them, you know, whatever, to bring in your friends here. And so then they become your influencers, the people who's out there telling your story for you. Even restaurants, you know, maybe you get a few people that, you know, like, hey, you want a discount on your food when you come in if you'll, you know, post pictures and share those and tag us in them. Because people will do a lot of stuff for swag, for t-shirts, for, you know, 10% off. You'd be surprised at people that, okay, yeah, I'll share that for 10% off. So think about how you could use influencers, you know, if it's relevant to your industry type, to kind of help you tell your story as well. And then this, and I can tell you as a testimony, and you can ask my boss, I would get so frustrated with, you know, it just seemed like, oh my goodness, like nobody cares. The likes are not coming in, the engagement's not coming in. And of course she would always tell me, you know, just keep doing it, you know, just be patient. And so that's the key with social media, especially if you're starting from the ground. You know, be patient, stick with it, be consistent with it. And I will tell you, over time, you know, it pays off. Of course, that's with anything, with being patient and sticking with it. That applies to everything, right? But just keep at it, keep doing, you know, when things are working, keep doing those things, do more of those things, and it will eventually start to pay off. And we've seen some success on our social media challenges, but I can tell you, and I was telling a fellow social media person the other day, you know, she was saying the same thing, like, I mean, we're growing, but it's just so slow. And I said, I know exactly how you feel, but just, you're doing a great job, and you just keep doing that great job, and eventually it'll start clicking and it'll start rolling. So that's my thing. Just be patient, be consistent, and it will eventually start to pay off. And again, going back to reinventing the wheel, this is my source for those best practices. So I'm giving them credit for that. You're trying to put together something, I'm thinking they've already said everything so perfectly. So there's my source. And then I guess, any questions? Do we have time for any questions? Y'all have to get back to work.
Oh no, we've got time.
Okay.
We've had several questions come in, so I'm going to try and get back to the beginning here. And first of all, thank you so much, Molly. This was great. So first question, you mentioned scheduling. Is there a particular scheduling platform that you use?
Well, Facebook, you can do it on Facebook. You can schedule there. I think it's called the oh shoot, is it the Creator?
Creative Suite.
Yeah, Creator. Yeah, but Facebook you can do it, but you can also go to like Hootsuite has, you can like schedule so many accounts for free, but they do have some that you can, bigger packages that you can pay for. If you want to keep everything all together, Hootsuite would be a good place to do that, and that way you could schedule your posts, and then, like I said, you're not, like if you're finding out that your peak times are times when, I'm not going to be on social media then, and you need it to post, of course, during the day, you can keep up with questions and engagement. But Hootsuite's a good place. And again, some of it's free. I use Hootsuite for Twitter and Instagram because you can't schedule on those two platforms, but I use Facebook to just schedule to Facebook. So.
Thank you. So this is from Kate as well. How do you handle a fast moving train? So in other words, if you have social media scheduled, but then something comes up, how do you work that into your scheduled posts?
Oh, yeah, that is a good thing. And I've seen posts, especially during this whole pandemic, you see people and you posts that pop up for businesses and you think, oh, they had that scheduled and they forgot about it, because you think, oh my gosh, y'all need to delete this. And I guess my only advice to that is to just kind of keep an eye on it. And if you know that you can't, maybe like if you're going on vacation or something and you maybe get somebody to keep an eye on it. Like, you don't want to worry about, like, hey, keep an eye on this stuff. Like if something melts down in the world, which, I mean, it's 2020. It could happen any day, anytime, right? And it's something that would affect your business or your organization or whatever. I guess just try to keep an eye on it or have someone keep an eye on it if you know that you can't, just to make sure that, it's not something that's going to embarrass your company. And that's why I don't like to schedule things too far out. I mean, the most that I'll schedule things out is probably about a week. So that way it's not something I've scheduled like 3 months from now and I've forgotten about it. And it's something that could be really insensitive to, maybe something that's going on globally or, in our country or whatever. Can I answer that?
Yeah, except I was kind of going the other way. Like you've got everything scheduled out and you have something that you've got scheduled at 10 o'clock. And at 10 o'clock, Auburn releases a new football schedule. But you've already got something being posted at 10 o'clock. How do you space that out and work that into your post? Do you reschedule the post you had scheduled at 10? And you may not be in a position where that happens to you a lot. It happens to me on a daily basis. Yesterday, all the former baseball players did a video congratulating Casey Mize on his debut last night. I had to fit that in somewhere because that's something our alumni would be very interested in seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's true. Like you can, of course, you can always go in and delete a post if you think, oh gosh, I don't want to, because that's another thing too. I didn't mention that. Like you don't want to post, like have post because people will unfollow you if you're posting too much. But yeah, you could go in like if that happens, you've got a post that goes out at 10 and then like 10:05 there's breaking news,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you go in and delete that post and save it for later and go on with the breaking news, or I don't know. I think do you manage the baseball or baseball?
No, I manage the Alumni Association. So,
Okay.
engineering breaks out with something or anybody on campus, it all comes to me.
Yeah. But I think people are also going to be forgiving when things like that happen, that if you've already got something posted and then you have to share something else that, especially like I said, if it's football schedule, because we'd all been waiting with bated breath for that. So I would say either go in and delete that other one and then go with your breaking news and then share that other one later, or just go on and share the breaking news and and like I said, I think people will understand, like, hey, this is breaking news. It just happened. Does that help?
Okay. Yeah, that does.
Because I think, yeah, that you are in a unique situation where there's something going on all the time.
You know, I was about to walk out the door the other day when they decided we had to wear masks starting the next day. You know, we're outside. So,
Yeah.
you know,
And you're like,
gotta
oh, gotta go back in.
Yep.
And post something. Yeah.
Hello?
You have said that on several of these social media platforms that you need to post at least once a day, but what's the limit? At what point are you oversaturating and annoying people?
I would say with Instagram, you could probably get away with, you know, maybe a couple of posts, maybe 3. And maybe on Facebook, you know, I would say like 1 to 2 per day. Of course, Twitter, you know, like I said, it's one of those that it's just constantly, you know, you can tweet on there, and it's a very different animal. But I think anywhere from like 1 to 3 is probably good. And I think after 3, people are gonna be like, oh, okay, this is too much. And of course, used to, I mean, y'all may remember when Facebook, well, and Instagram too, is chronological. So if you got on, you could see, you know, this is what happened. It was all in chronological order. And of course, now I see stuff from 3 days ago on my Facebook and even Instagram. And so that makes it a little bit more muddy when you're posting more than once or twice, because, you know, people are going to see what you're posting that day, but they're also seeing what you posted 3 days ago. So that's why I say keep it, I'd say 1 to 3 per day, but definitely 1.
And I think, Elizabeth, were you trying to ask something? Did I hear that a second ago? Okay.
I was just going to share something. I had 2 things. When that lady was just asking about whether to delete posts or not, I was going to say using capital letters, like saying breaking news update. You know, it was a way to capture people's, you know, notes that there's something just happened, because I get mad when somebody deletes something. I don't know what happened. It's like, I went back to look for it, but it's not there. So it's just off the
Yeah, and that's true too. Yeah, there you go.
And my second question, because I run a little ministry, and I was wondering if I could talk to you about that later, and especially about what you were saying, to repeat. There's a group that I support, but you said people don't like to link over to their page, but I'm trying to support them with what I do on my page. So I get a lot of people come to I've got a lot of followers, and they love seeing my pictures because I have animals and all this stuff. So I've got tons, but I'm trying to help this girls ranch with my posts because I'm trying to help them get more advertisement about all the events they got going so that people will donate. So it's a combination.
Yeah. No, it's not that people don't like links. It's that Facebook doesn't like you to click off of Facebook. They want you to stay right there. So sometimes when you're sharing links, they may not, it's that whole algorithm. And I don't know that I don't even know if they understand their own algorithm, but it changes daily of what they allow to go. Cause I mean, you think about people that, you know, in businesses that you follow that you're like, I never see anything. And then you go to their page and they're like, well, they're posting. And so it kind of depends on what you're engaging. But no, it's okay to share links. I'm just saying that, and we can talk later. Like, you can email me. I've got my email address up there too.
I can't see it.
Oh, is it not on there? Oh,
I can't see it.
okay. It's pr@northalabama.org. So you can email me and we can chat.
At North Alabama spelled out.
Yes, North Alabama all spelled out .org. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Offline would like to know how you differentiate what you post on Instagram versus what you post on Facebook, or do you just post the same content on both?
Well, I will tell you, pre-pandemic, I was getting really good at doing different things because people will tell you, that you've got different audiences and they like to see different things, different messages written different ways. But I will tell you, I've kind of gotten lazy, like during all of this, that with everything that's just been going on, that I have been posting, the same thing across platforms. Of course, now on Twitter, I've had to shorten things a lot. So my message is a little bit different on Twitter just because you can't share as much on there. But I know I'm glad you said that, because I need to get out of that and and go back to trying to, post something, for the Facebook audience here, and then post something, that's Instagram. I do kind of mix up my pictures sometimes, but all of this has kind of, it's kind of shocked me back into, okay, well, at least, putting everything out there, that same message. But we do have some different followers on, Instagram than we do on Facebook. But it is recommended to kind of tailor your message because my Instagram audience is, I think it's like 24 to 34 age range. And it's more of it's closer to, half and half. There's more women that follow, but it's more even with men and women, whereas on Facebook it's mostly women, and it's the older group. So there, for your different audiences. So yeah, I'm not practicing what I preach right now. But I need to be, so thank you.
Can I jump in there with a question? This might be a little bit too specific, but I'm gonna try to set the stage and explain. So I interned for a very small engineering company. There's 5 of us. So I feel like our primary audience, and as an engineering company, our services are targeted to corporations and mostly the government, not necessarily an average individual, just like the general public. We're not a restaurant, we're not a boutique, but we still want people to have brand awareness. So I was just kind of curious if you had any advice on those kind of services. How do you make those relevant to the public, or do you just post about things that are less relevant to your business and more relevant to what the viewer wants to see?
Well, I guess it would help too, looking at your insights to see, who is looking at, who is following you on Facebook. And it could be that, you've got people who are working for the businesses that you're trying to market to. That was kind of a hairy situation, because you don't really know.
I think the temptation, and this is what I want to avoid, is to jump to, oh, well, social media is not relevant for us. That thing that you sort of said at the beginning. It's kind of like, oh, well, do people even really care about this? But I do think for all businesses, I know in my head that it's important for all businesses to be active online and for people to be able to see activity and know, basically to legitimize you as a business.
Right.
But just trying to balance that and see if maybe it isn't as relevant for us.
Yeah, and you know what? I didn't even mention this before, but it just dawned on me. Maybe LinkedIn is more where you should be focusing, because it's more, business oriented, and it's less, hey, look at my dog and look at what I ate today, and it's more, look at these statistics and look at how this business. It's more business oriented. So maybe LinkedIn is the platform that you go to, and maybe just having a presence on Facebook of just, talking about, you know, the firm that you work for and just having that presence there. But as far as like, you know, trying to get people, you know, to do what you want them to do, maybe LinkedIn is the route that you need to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Thank you. So what's the best way that you know of to get customers or participants to tag what you want them to tag, like your organization or an event, without messing up the Facebook algorithm?
We're doing a photo contest right now. Y'all probably heard of the 100 Alabama Miles Challenge, where you go in and you can earn the virtual badges and everything. And so we're doing a photo contest with just sharing some of those locations in North Alabama where people can get, you know, their virtual badges and everything and earn their miles. And so we're asking people, you know, hey, when you're posting those pictures, of course they have to upload them too, but you know, when you're posting them on Instagram, you know, tag us on there, tag us, sometimes on Facebook with privacy settings, it doesn't always, you don't always see everything that people are doing on Facebook because they determine what you see. But on Instagram, you know, if they're using your hashtag or they're tagging you, and of course we do giveaways once a month. I give away a t-shirt on Instagram if people are using our hashtag, you know, and they're tagging us and doing that. So that encourages them, you know, giveaway. People will do anything for a t-shirt or a discount or, but that helps, you know, to get people to tag your business. And I've seen people ask people to tag them in stories. I've seen that, you know, when people are doing contests, you know, tag us in your story. That they can see it, and of course other people are seeing their stories and they, you know, go to your profile or whatever and follow, or that's what you're hoping that they're doing. So
okay. Is it the same kind of advice you would have for getting people to leave good reviews or engage with you?
yeah. Are you talking about like TripAdvisor, or are you talking about
the question from Martha was, what's a good way to have fans leave reviews? I assume that means on, you can do reviews on Facebook, can't you?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you can do them on Facebook. Like I said, if there's some way to kind of incentivize that, you know, maybe you're like, we'll share your review, or, you know, if there's some way you can do a giveaway, I'm telling you, like some way to incentivize it, you know, to make people want to do it if they're going to get something. That's always a good way.
Okay.
Or like share your, you know, if you have a website too and you want to share a review or comment on the website, you know, people love to see their names on there.
Kim Walker wants to know what advice you have for someone who has social media manager as a very small part of their job responsibilities.
I am very lucky that is my total. I mean, I have other things that I have to do, but I'm very fortunate that is like my only job or my main job. But if it's a small part, that's where I think really figuring out, okay, what can you handle? Can you only handle Facebook? Can you only handle Instagram? And just choose that one. And I think that's where the content calendar really comes in handy, because if you've got, you know, 500 other things that you have to do during the day, and social media is, because I know a lot of times, you know, people tend to think like, oh, it's just social media. It can go last. And, you know, there are a lot of things that have to be done before social media is done. But I think that's where the content calendar and even scheduling, sitting down and scheduling posts. Like I said, before I go on vacation, I'll take a day, and before I go, and I sit down and I schedule everything. And it takes me a few hours, but it's done, and then I don't have to worry about it. So I guess my thing would be just carving out that time to plan and to, you know, do it all at one time maybe, and then just kind of keep an eye on it in case something's going on. But that would be my advice, to just sit down and carve out that time and plan.
Okay. All right. Well, it's about 26 minutes after 1, so I think we're going to cut it off here. But thank you again so much for sharing all this information with us. This was really wonderful. I know I've learned a lot, so thank you for your time and sharing your expertise. We appreciate it. And thank you everyone for joining us today. Again, this is a roundtable presentation of the Women's Philanthropy Board. And we do have a couple of other really great roundtables that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. So the next one is scheduled for September 1st, and it's going to be Investing Like a Boss, which is our follow-up to one that we had a couple of weeks ago called Budgeting Like a Boss. So be on the lookout for that. And then September 10th, we have the Hunger Solutions Institute, who's going to be talking about their work in solving the problem of hunger in Alabama and around the world. So if you want more information about either of those events, please let us know. And Malia, again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it.
This was great.
War Eagle again.
War Eagle. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
y'all. Bye.
War Eagle, everybody. Good to see you. Thank you, Malia.
Thank you.